Hey guys, Brent here, webtennis.com. I want to shoot a very short video for you. And the reason is I want to show you the exercise that I do a couple of times a week to help me visually track a moving tennis ball a whole lot better. And look, one of the big challenges we have in tennis is that number one, visually we got to track, right? We got to make good visual contact with a moving tennis ball. And then secondarily, we have to do that as we're also on the move. Now look, golfers don't have either one of those challenges, right? The ball's just sitting there, right? And then secondly, they don't have to move to hit it. They get to actually move up, get their right spatial distance away from their setup position of that ball. Baseball hitters, they have a moving ball, but they don't have to move, right? They're just standing there as the hitter. So tennis is a unique challenge in that we've got to visually track a moving ball while we're also on the move. And so here's what I do to improve that skill. And what you can do here is I'm at the end of the court, right? I'm at the back fence, looking out towards the opposite back fence. And what I've done here is I've found a stationary object on the far fence. Now sometimes you can find, the crossbars of the fence, or sometimes there's maybe a windscreen that's got some kind of a stain on it or something like that. But you've got to find a stationary object. And so, David, why don't you come on over here, just kind of move the camera over to this side here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to visually lock on that stationary object on that fence. And I'm going to do this in kind of four different ways. Number one, I'm going to walk towards that spot, trying to keep the spot from moving up and down, right? And then I'll walk up to the net to do that. The second part is I'll do a little light jog, right? Just a light jog, but at the same time, and once you move with me here, David, at the same time, I'm trying to train my head to stay still, so it floats rather than bouncing up and down. And too often what I see, well, at least the mistake I used to make, I went out and did a lot of long distance running, right? Made my legs super strong, but I had no shock absorber. I could barely see the tennis ball coming over. And then I used to do a lot of just flat out as fast as I could go sprints. I got quick, but I didn't train my head or my body to really carry my head on this nice even keel, so it floated and made better visual contact with the ball. So we've gone through the walk, right, where you just visually lock on your object over there. We've gone through the jog. Now we go through a little bit of a run, and you're trying to do the same thing. You're trying to keep your head. You're not trying to. This is less about fitness and more about training your body to move so that you can have your head float. And then we do an all-out sprint. And what I will do is I will sprint from one fence to the other fence, all the way, trying to train my body to carry my head so that that object over there is not bouncing up and down. We'll just go halfway to the net. But again, and then from here you got to be careful you don't trip, which is easy to do, but same thing, you're trying to keep your vision locked on that stationary spot over there. So I do this two or three times a week, certainly before tournaments. I do this a lot. And the whole goal here is to be able to help you train your body so that you visually watch the ball better. And what does that help you do? Well, it helps you with spacing, right? You're consistently moving to that spot on the court where you're about to execute stroke technique, right? If your spacing's inconsistent, then you're always improvising unforced errors, right? So it helps with spacing, helps with timing, obviously over time, helps with confidence as well. All right, so next thing I'm gonna show you is what I do for my core, which is obviously super important in terms of how we carry ourselves in the court. One of the things that you might think about is whether you're playing a practice set or you're drilling or you're doing any kind of, even if you're walking around at home, here's what you can do is, I love to do this where, like after a point's over, my practice partner here, I'll be walking over to pick up the tennis balls, and I'm going to just crush the core, right? I'm just going to squeeze it as tightly as I can with really good posture. I don't want to be hunched over, don't want to be, really kind of crushing the core, but I want really good posture, and I'm just going to tighten up the abs as much as I possibly can for like a 10 count, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. In the beginning, what you'll do is you'll hold your breath, and eventually you'll learn how to be able to go. You can simply walk around, really tighten your core, and you'll be able to figure out how to breathe through that for 10 count, 15 count, 20 count, whatever you want. If you start doing this between points, and I'm not talking about that you need to be doing this in a real match, but if you're doing a practice match, practice sets, or you're drilling, whatever it is, there's lots of times when you gotta go pick up balls, or it's in between points. A great opportunity to be able to really tighten up those abs. All right. Let me show you now what I do in terms of some other core training as well. So the next thing I do after I do my sprints, where I'm really trying to work on making better visual contact with the ball, is I do some core work, right? And we talked about how you can just between points, how you can just crush the abs and just make that core tighter and stronger. I do some simple stuff extra, right? And look, everyone's kind of got their own routine. This is mine. I'm not saying this is the perfect way of doing it, but for me, what I will do are some leg lifts, which are simply where it's this exercise right here, and all I'm trying to feel is that everything is focused on the abs, right? Everything is focused on the core, and I'll do sets of 30. I'll do a set of 30. I then turn around and I do my planks, and planks are simply this, where you're trying to keep your back, your butt, and your legs all kind of alignment. And I just go through a 30 count, which is more 30 breaths. And again, from here, just trying to crush the abs, just really trying to tighten up the core. Do that for a 30 count. And then I do 15 push-ups. And my push-ups are not the best technique, but it's simply just 15 chest down in here, and I do 15 of those. And then if it's the end of the session, I like to do some stretching, right? And the stretching for me is simply where I'm going to take one leg over the other, reach both arms out to the side, and hold this for about a 25 count. Come back over here, do the same thing for about a 25 count, and then I like to kind of go into a child's pose to just try to, this is almost for the quads in here, try to get them stretched out. And I'll do that for about a minute. And then I also like to just go to the fence or the net post. And for me, it's just getting the leg up here, and just I kind of rub the hamstrings, just try to soften them up. Do this for, again, I just count it out for about 20-25 counts. Do it on both sides, on both legs. I then like to pull up for the quads, and really it's less about pulling up and more about pushing the knee back in here to try to stretch this out in here. And then of course I want to get the calves, and I'll just do this simple little stretch in the calf right here. And look, that's it. Nothing fancy at all. And it's just that it won't take you very long. It might take you 7 to 10 minutes for the whole routine. But if you start doing this on a regular basis, I mean, again, like I said before tournaments, I'm doing this stuff every day. And for me, it's really paid off. So guys, look, any questions, Brent at webtennis.com. And as always, get out there somewhere, help someone else have a spectacular day.
Everybody can be beat. If you're somewhat even with your opponent, even if they're a bit of a miscarriage, if you're
struggling with your forehand consistency and power, maybe I'm going to show you 5
all Anacone that we're going to be interviewing today.
It's still pretty fun to watch Roger do it.
And it gets trickier every week. Yeah, so a great time. I'm pitching the underhand, and I say, you actually add more spin, so there's more high likelihood the ball that can come down in time.
We are here with the man who started all, John Newsom. We've got about 5,000 people out there following and many of them, ask.
This is Pete. Welcome to this very special lesson that's going to teach you how to eliminate, eradicate your #1 bad habit,